instead of that speaker.
Already. All right, saying we live now. There we go. Saying we live now. Saying, let's see here. Let's start it off. Hey, all praises to Yahweh
Hawa,
by Hashem,
Bahashem,
Yahweh
Hawa
Shah,
Shah, Bahashem,
Dabar by Hashem, Wakar Kodash,
Kadash.
Dabar to the apostles and the elders that rule well, and peace and blessings to you brothers out there that's kicking his word and sincerity truth. You know, this is the brothers from GMS Dallas. You know, me and his brother right here, the brother Yadaka. You know what I'm saying? We share the page of GMS Let's Reason. And we want to come with a quick sit down, just going into institutionalized racism. The racism that we see now, you know what I'm saying, is not overt. So it's kind of hard to put, you know, it's kind of hard to quantify, you know what I'm saying, the racism, you know, back in the 1960s, things of that nature. We had the Jim Crow laws, you know what I'm saying? You had, and then before that, you had sharecropping. And then even before that, you had convict leasing. You see, those were blatant, examples of racism. You know what I'm saying? And you could dare say institutionalized racism. But now, you know what I'm saying, the discrimination that you see is not so blatant. You see what I'm saying? It's hard to really put your hand on it. You know what I'm saying? For lack of a better term. So somebody that's you know, not a Jake, you know what I'm saying, these Edomites that say, oh, we know I suffer from the same things you suffer from. You know, I have to pay bills like you, you know. I don't have making money just like you. But, you know, what they, you know, what people fail to realize, even our people, is this, man, you know, the racism that you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans have to endure is ingrained America's institutions, man. You see, it's kind of a unwritten code, man. You know, and that unwritten code is this: you niggas, you spicks, you so-called niggas, you so-called spicks, you so-called Uncle Tomahawks. You're to get the bottom. You're to get the worst of the worst of America, man. You see what I'm saying? So before we dive into this article, let me share the screen right quick. I wanted to read this scripture, man, you know, and that scripture is uh, Baruch, the 3rd chapter and the 8th verse, you know.
You want me to read it for you out?
Hey, Baba Gashar, brother, if you don't mind.
Khan, I got you. This is Baruch chapter 3, verse 8. It says, behold, we are yet this day in our captivity. It says, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our power.
That's right. So we are of this yet in this day in our captivity, man. You see, and we were scattered through the to the Western Hemisphere, man. You know what I'm saying? In particular to the Americas. You know, now we know that, you know, the majority of our people are down there in South America, and we're, you know, here in North America, man. And we are a reproach and a curse, man. People look at, you know what I'm saying, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you know, and it's a joke. You know, we're considered a joke to the other nations, man. We don't have anything. We don't own anything, man. And if we do own something, you know, it's to serve, our own people. We don't have any rulership, man. You see? So that, you know, it seems as if we're free, but we're not free, man. Just because we're able to go and eat what Edomite eats at, or shit what on the same toilet as Edomite shit, doesn't mean that we are ruling anything, man. True rulership is tangible, man. You know, you could see it. You could, you know, it's something that you can hold on, man. Case in point, you know, when we were ruling, you know what I'm saying, in the ancient world, man, there was an understanding who our power was, and also who we were, man. You know, we had our own culture, our own way of life, our own way of eating. You see what I'm saying? Now we're subject to dealing with the so-called white man and his will and his way, man. You see? So let's get to it. What is institutional racism? Because we've been saying it a lot. I'm gonna go ahead and read this. I'll read a little bit of this, and I really just had two examples of institutional racism. Really, I wanted to go into Flint, the whole situation with Flint, Michigan, and also there's the other examples within this article that we'll read. The one that stood out for me is a redlining, but let's get to it. This is institutional racism. Institutional racism is a form of racism expressed in the practice of social and political institutions. Institutional racism is also racism by individuals or informal social groups governed by behavioral norms that support racist thinking and foment active racism. You know what I'm saying? How we're stereotyped, how we're looked at. You know what I'm saying? How we're portrayed on TV. That's all a form of institutional racism, man. You see what I'm saying? Every time we see a so-called black man, you know what I'm saying, in these movies, he's effeminate or he's stupid. Case in point, look at Kevin Hart. You see what I'm saying? And then that's a term called what's that called? Social engineering, you know what I'm saying, that these people use in order to basically put these people under mind control, man, and they use that TV. You see, so all this is a part of institutional racism, man. It is reflected, Barakatah. It is reflected in disparities regarding wealth, income, criminal justice, employment, housing, healthcare, political power, and education, among other things, which implicity or explicitly express institutional racial racism occurs when a certain group is targeted and discriminated against based upon race. Institutional racism is more implicit in our ideas and attitudes, so it is often unnoticed by the individual expressing it. And if you look at that word implicit, it means it's like intertwined. You know what I'm saying? It's embedded. You know what I'm saying, in American culture. You know what I'm saying? It's a norm to know that you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans aren't better than so-called white people, man. You see? The term institutional racism was coined and first used in 1967 by Stokely Carmichael and Charles versus Hampton in Black Power: The Politics of Liberation. Carmichael and Hampton wrote that while individual racism is often identifiable because of its overt nature, institutional racism is less perceivable because of its less overt, far more subtle nature. Institutional racism originates in the operation of established and respected forces in a society, and thus receives far less public condemnation than individual racism. They give examples. When white terrorists bomb a black church and kill five black children, this is an act of individual racism, which deplored by most slightly wildly deployed by most segments of the society. But when in the same city, Birmingham, Alabama, 500 babies die each year because of the lack of power, food, shelter, and medical facilities, and thousands more are destroyed and maimed physically, emotionally, and intellectually because of conditions of poverty and discrimination in the Black community. That is a function of institutional racism. And an example for me that comes to mind is the school system. You see what I'm saying? When you go, I actually witnessed this for myself. When you go to a predominantly black school, man, these schools are underfunded. You know what I'm saying? They don't have the same resources that a white school would have, man. You know, the books are decades old. You see what I'm saying? The teachers are incompetent. Most of them, you know, when I was growing up, a lot of them didn't even have degrees. They were just people off the street. Hey, you want to teach? All right, cool. You see what I'm saying? But when I went to a predominantly white school, you see what I'm saying, or a mixed school, you know, you go into you know, somewhere like Ennis, you see what I'm saying? They got computer stations. You see what I'm saying? Computer labs, you know what I'm saying? Labs, things of that nature. We didn't have that when we were growing up, man. You know what I'm saying? In the hood. You see? So right there, right then and there, you know what I'm saying? The so-called black community, which we know that to be Judites, man, they're already starting off, you know what I'm saying, at a disadvantage, man. You see? But something like that, you know what I'm saying, isn't, you know, you can't really pinpoint it, you know what I'm saying, or articulate it growing up. You see?
Mhm.
So people will look past that and they'll say, oh, you just gotta work harder. You know what I'm saying? Not factor in, you know what I'm saying, the environments in which these Israelite children are growing up in, man. And these environments are totally off, man. It's not normal to have somebody selling you know what I'm saying, drugs in your neighborhood. You see? That ain't normal, man. You see, but the so-called white man, he'll paint the picture like, you know, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans are just lazy, and in the environment in which you're growing up in, which this nigga has made, doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying? But let's get back to it. Let's see where we at. When a black family moves into a home in a white neighborhood and is stoned, burned, or routed out, they are victims of an overt act of individual racism, which most people would condemn. But it is institutional racism that keeps black people locked in dilapidated slum tenements, subject to daily prey of exploitive slumlords, merchants, loan sharks, and discriminatory real estate agents. The society either pretends it does not know of this latter situation, or is in fact incapable of doing anything meaningful about it. Let's see here.
That's right. That's a big point. And that's the spirit too that you just read what you read, because I wanted to just bring out an act they passed after World War II. It's called the
Mhm.
Fair Housing Act. You know
That's
what I'm
beautiful.
saying?
Yep.
But I wanted to get a scripture, but actually before I go to that, did you want to
Okay.
go to what you was gonna go to first, or
No, man, this was rolling the spirit. If you guys, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Because you know what's funny
we
is I
can
had
come
that.
back. I just want to bring
Yeah.
out just the Fair Housing Act, but I want to pull up this scripture before I went into it.
Okay, gone.
If you want to put it up on the screen, it's Psalms 94 and 20. Bob Kasha.
Okay. Okay, gone. I'll put it up right now, bro.
Kind, the water. Because what the
Yeah,
brothers going
young boy.
into, like that off top puts Jake at a disadvantage, man. You know what I'm saying? You already way behind before you even have a chance, man. Like, and he was going into the school system, but everything is systematically set up. Institutionalized slavery. It's purpose. It's not by just happenstance or coincidence that all the Jake is in the dilapidated neighborhoods and schools, man. But
Gone.
now we're not in physical shackles and chains, so Esau can clearly try to say, well, you can't substantiate that you're in slavery or that you're oppressed or this, that, or the third, but it's all institutionalized. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Now you say Psalms 94. I know you said Psalms 94, but
In 20,
which and 20? Okay.
kind.
Gone. And I can read it for you, bro.
The water, brother.
Psalms 94 and 20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? Woo.
That's right. So the description is asking a question, man. Shall the throne, and the throne that represents rulership or dominion of power. It says, shall the throne or the rulership of iniquity have fellowship with thee? You know, and hell no. You know, we know who our enemy is. You never trust a thine enemy, like the scripture says. So we know we're not going to fellowship with the nation of Edom. They're the throne or the rulership of iniquity. And it says that they frameth mischief by a law. So even though we were so-called emancipated, you know,
Right.
after the time of Honest Abe, so-called Honest Abe Lincoln, which if you look the word emancipate up, that just means transfer of ownership. You know, everything went from an actual agricultural slavery to a more industrial corporate slavery, institutionalized slavery, like the brothers going into, to where legislation is basically speaking for it on how we dealing with the Lord's people at the end of the day, with the people who are still slaves.
That's right.
Can you read 21 too, Baba Kashaf?
God. They verse 21, they gathered themselves together against the soul of the righteous and condemned the innocent blood.
Right. So by these institutional racism patterns, they condemning the innocent blood, man. They're together against the souls of the righteous, the Lord's people, to keep us down, man, to basically try to weed us out through the spirit.
That's right.
But I wanted to read that just to bring out this. It's in Wikipedia. If you just pull up Fair Housing Act.
God. You know what's funny is it has it down here too.
Yeah,
That's
you
the
probably
spirit that you
hyperlink
had.
it. Yeah.
Yep. So I might be able to.
You click the hyperlink, it'll go right to it.
Right here. Yep. That's the spirit. It says, want me to go ahead and read that for you out?
Well, hold on. I think I want the Fair Housing Act.
The Fair Housing.
That's more like an agency right there that they set up, which
Slacky.
Nah, you
know
good.
What? You know what? I'm just
I
gonna
think
rock it
that's
like this. Yeah. I'm gonna rock it like this. I'm gonna go ahead and just look it up. Fair Housing Act 19.
Yeah, that's more like an agency that's set up to like implement, you know, but I wanted to get this act that was passed after World War II, basically because, you know, there was always discriminatory housing practices even after slavery was over. You know, once the startup of the Industrial Revolution, you know, during Esau's happy days in the 50s, when America was thriving, even though we weren't in physical shackles and chains, our people, that's where you got the origination of slums and ghettos during like the 40s and the 50s. You know what I'm saying? And even if our people had a job, or if they had like a savings to potentially try to buy a nice home, you know, they had these discriminatory housing practices that forbid our people to basically buy a decent home.
Yep, that's true. That's right. And also that was a tool for these for Edomites to perform white flight. You know what I'm saying? Because after the civil rights movement, you know what I'm saying, you had Jake that was trying to integrate with these so-called white people, man. You know, but again, it's just going back to what the brothers saying, they weren't able to get these certain loans, you know. And also, you know what I'm saying, in the 1990s, you had subprime loans, you know what I'm saying, being issued out in our neighborhoods, man, which had substantially higher, you know what I'm saying, interest rates, you know what I'm saying, that than these normal loans, you know what I'm saying? So that further put, Jake, you know what I'm saying, in a bind, subject to payments, you know what I'm saying, like it says in Baruch, the 3rd chapter. But let me read this for you. This is Civil Rights Act of 1968. The Civil Rights Act of 1968, also known as the Fair Housing Act, is a landmark part of legislation in the United States that provided for equal housing opportunities, regardless of race, religion, or national origin, and made it a federal crime to by force or by threat of force, injure, intimidate, or interfere with anyone by reason of their race, color, religion, or national origin. The act was signed in law during the King assassination riots by President Lyndon B. Johnson, who had previously signed the Civil Rights Act and Voting Rights Act into law. Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act in 1968 is commonly known as the Fair Housing Act, and was met as a follow up of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. While the Civil Rights Act of 1866 prohibited discrimination in housing, there were no federal enforcement provisions. The 1968 Act expanded on previous acts and prohibited discrimination concerning the sales, renting, and financing of housing based on race, religion, national origin, and since 1974, gender. Since 1988, the act provided it's like it protects people with disabilities and families with children. Keep on going on.
Now it was another one. I know that's kind of similar, but you see where it actually says that because it's worded a little different. How I wanted to go into it because 1968 that was kind of like the stamp up, but it was like efforts before that time, like mainly like after that period after World War II, which
I know
World
what
War
you're talking.
it ended
Kind.
like in 44, I believe. So
I know what you're talking about. It was that if that one that I had clicked on, bro. I know
yeah,
exactly what you're talking about.
it's you got it. You're on the page now. It says just fair. There you go.
You want me to click on this one then?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Kind.
Okay. Salakia.
Now you good because I just read it just based on the way it specifically had it.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. The Fair Housing Act. The Fair Housing Act is a federal act in the United States intended to protect the buyer or renter of a dwelling from sellers or landlord discrimination. Its
Yup.
primary.
If I just want to say, man, because they was just completely for prohibiting Jake to even just attain a domicile, a home, man, a place to stay. You know, and I forgot who said it. Like that's one of the most important resources to have is like a homestead, basically. You know what I'm saying? Because you can pass that on from generational to have generational wealth.
Right.
But go ahead.
Kind. Its primary prohibition makes it unlawful to you refuse to sell, rent to, or negotiate with any person because of that person's inclusion in a protected class.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is a unilateral, what's it?
Unitarian.
Unitary, slakia, a housing market in which a person's background, as opposed to financial resources, does not arbitrarily restrict access. Calls for open housing was issued early in the 20th century,
Yep,
but
and that's the point I want to make, Salakia,
no,
because they were pushing for efforts our people, even as far as probably like the 20s, man,
yep,
to try to get in certain areas, because Jake, once they were able to actually start earning a dollar, a so-called dollar, Jake was putting everything together to try to establish a homestead, and build a family. But Esau, the damn devil, he set up basically law that prohibited people to selling, renting, or allowing Jake to buy housing, man.
yeah, that's right, that's right. You want me
You
to
can
keep on
go
going,
ahead.
my brother?
Yeah, you could just finish that paragraph and we can go back to what you wanted to go to, my brother.
God, no, because that's beautiful because I know exactly what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? I know exactly where I was reading in is going into exactly what you was talking about, those discriminatory laws that was passed, what I'm saying, prior to this law being passed. You know what I'm saying, which was
Mhm.
let's see here.
In
Calls for
1968, that was like the if I could say this, that was kind of like, that was the civil rights movement and actually kind of more so got done. It was still, static. And like you said, things like white flight and other little bullshit laws that they implemented to offset the Civil Rights Act. But the Fair Housing Act itself, it was kind of like a build up. And then the Civil Rights Act in 1968 kind of more so stamped it up.
God, beautiful. Calls for a house open housing were issued early in the 20th century, but it was not until after World War II that concerted efforts to achieve it were undertaken. And they stop right there, my brother.
Yeah, that's pretty much the point, because like it really wasn't taken seriously before you know, really, like you read the civil rights movement, because you know, people, they had lynch mobs. You know, the so-called white man, he was just being a damn just demon to our people. You bet not dare try to come in their neighborhood. Even if you had the money to move in their neighborhood, they was probably vandalizing your property, doing little, you know, bitch shit that they do to try to get you to roll out. And you couldn't do nothing about it, because everybody, the cops, you know, in the town, they all white. So
Yep. And this is going into what you're talking about right here. Just go ahead and skip down. In housing and loan, institutional racism in the housing sector can be seen as early as the 1930s with the Homeowners Loan Corporation. Banks would determine a neighborhood's risk for loan default and redline neighborhoods that were at high risk of default. And it's real quick. I'm just going to read this definition of redline. Says in the United States, redlining is the systematic denial of various services to residents of specific, often racially associated neighborhoods or communities, either directly or through the selective raising of prices. You know, and there you go, right there. That's what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? They were denying Jake from being able to get certain loans, man, to be able to come up. You see, and we know that in this world, well, you know what I'm saying, debt equates to money, man. You see, so Jake wasn't able to get these loans, man, in order to get these houses. You know what I'm saying, like the brother was bringing out. You're saying prior to the 1960s or 1968, you want to be technical.
right.
These neighborhoods tended to be African American neighborhoods, whereas the white middle class Americans were able to receive housing loans over decades. As the white middle class Americans left the city to move to nicer houses in the suburbs, the predominantly African American neighborhoods were left to degrade. Retail sales often started moving to the suburbs to be closer to the customers. From the 1930s through the 1960s, following the Depression, Franklin D. Roosevelt, New Deal (FHA) enabled the growth of the white middle class by providing loan guarantees to banks, which in turn financed white ownership and enabled white flight. You see, but did not make loans available to blacks, as minorities were not able to get financing and aid from banks. Whites pulled ahead in equity gains. Moreover, many college students were then in turn financed with the equity in a home ownership that were gained by having gotten the early government handout, which was not the same, which was not the same
Accorded.
accorded. Man, I'm tongue tied today. But it's not the same accorded to black and other minority families. The institutional racism of the HAF, it's like H, it's like A's 1943 model had been tempered after the recent recession of changes in the 1970s, and more recently by Barack Obama's effort to stabilize the housing losses of 2008 with his fair housing finance reform. So there you go. They were using these loans to really put the kids, you know what I'm saying, through school, man, through secondary school, which we know to be college, man. You see. Meanwhile, you had Jake that were stuck in these dilapidated neighborhoods, like the brother had said, man. You see. Let me grab a scripture real quick, bro.
Yeah, because if I can say this, the so-called white man, the Edomites, their wealth was just steady increasing generation to generation. Because if you have a homestead and like you actually making additions, you making modifications to that home, over time, it's going to appreciate in value. And then you can take out second mortgages, or what's known as second loans, on the equity that you have in your house to buy whatever you want to buy, or send your kids to school, or do whatever you want to do with it.
Yep.
Having a home is having instant value.
Right. Right. Meanwhile, Jake is, you know what I'm saying, stuck in these hoods, man. You know what I'm saying? With no no money, no capital, man. And if you don't have, like, as we're bringing out, if you don't have debt, then you don't have money in this place, man. Credit is money, man. Credit is very important. You know what I'm saying? But if you're not able to get those loans or have access to those loans, you know what I'm saying? Then, hey, man, you're shit out of luck, you know, for lack of a better term. You see what I'm saying? A lot of these, which reminds me of this, you know, a lot of these, you know what I'm saying, my so-called minorities, which we know them to be other nations, they're coming over here, you know what I'm saying, they're getting these loans, man. You know what I'm saying? They're able to set up a shop in our neighborhoods, man, which is a term called middleman minority. You see that these minorities act as a buffer between the upper class and the lower class, man. You see what I'm saying? But those same loans on given to the people that actually live in these neighborhoods, man. You see? But let me grab this, man. Get these scriptures real quick. Can you read that for me, bro? This Isaiah 10 and 1 through 2. Get my tongue to rest, man.
Nah, I got you. I got it, brother. This is Isaiah chapter 10, verse 1. It says, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that right grievousness which they have prescribed."
That's right. Because all this really is just, you know, that political jargon that they use really as a means to keep us, you know what I'm saying, in you know, in the lower class, man. You know, they're able to articulate all this shit and make it sounds good, but really it's just, you know what I'm saying, legislation that they use to keep, you know what I'm saying, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans suppressed, man. You see?
Yo, and even today, in 2018, they got another practice. I don't know what the restriction as far as the law go, but it's pretty much gentrification, where they just hike up the price of the cost to live in certain areas to drive Jake out. If they want to turn an area to a more inclusive area, so-called.
That's
you know,
right.
That's the way they're doing it today. And that's just another form of this institutionalized oppression and slavery.
That's right. That's right. A beautiful example of that is what was going on in Chicago. Well, what is going on in Chicago? You had a lot of these neighborhoods, you know what I'm saying, that used to be, you know what I'm saying, predominantly Jake. They're being gentrified, shut down schools, things of that nature, man, building up these especially complexes. And, you know, Jake, that's, you know, was from different neighborhood, beefing and stuff like that. They're all in the same neighborhood now. And on top of that, they giving these kids military guns, man. You know what I'm saying? Kids walking around AK-47s. I seen one dude, you know, he got locked up for. This dude had literally had a bazooka in, you know what I'm saying, in Chicago. This dumbass nigga went and took a picture, you know what I'm saying, of him in the bazooka and posted it on Facebook and got locked up for it, man. Got fed times for it. You see, but you have to ask yourself, where did this guy get this gun from, man? You see? Well, that's a part of that institutionalized racism. You see what I'm saying? That's a part that's a part of them strategically, you know what I'm saying, putting Jake in a situation to where he's gonna kill himself, man. You see? Which we're not condoning the acts of our people, man, because 2/3 of our people are wicked as hell, man. But you have to ask yourself, you know what I'm saying, whether this ideology of killing came from, man. It came from the so-called white man. You see? If you can't, go ahead, bro.
This is Isaiah 10 and 2. To turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey and that they may rob the fatherless.
That's right, man. And how they robbing the fatherless, man? Again, with that legislation, man. You know what I'm saying? Section 8, that's another form of institutionalized racism. If you really want to get technical, man, because where did the whole concept of feminism came from, man? Well, it came from, you know what I'm saying, white people, and in particular white women, man. And, you know, there's actually a term called eugenic feminism, which was popular in Canada, and you've seen you know, a lot of these American Edomite women, I'm saying, holding on to that same concept. Really, I'm saying feminism was put in place for the betterment of white women so they can enhance the genes of white people, man. You see, and also they agreed with in the fact that, you know what I'm saying, these minority groups, man, need to be really restricted on procreating, man. You see? So that's why you know what I'm saying, these liberals, you know what I'm saying, are so adamant about abortion. And you see all these abortion clinics in our neighborhoods, man. You see? That's why they put in Section 8, you know what I'm saying, to break up the family household, man. You see? All this is passed because you know what I'm saying, to keep us again, you know what I'm saying, oppressed, to keep us under subjection, man. You see? But they paint it as if, you know what I'm saying, you know, it's something that's going to liberate the, you know what I'm saying, the black woman, you see, not knowing that it really is, it's really killing her in a family, in a family, man. You see?
Right.
Man, mom's your songs, man.
You want to get that in the 58
Yeah,
or
yeah, we need to go and get that.
kind? I'll read it all
Let's
for
see.
you.
Okay, bro. Thank you, bro. Yeah, that's song 64.
You just want to start at the top and go down.
Yeah, it started two. It's gonna
At
get
two,
straight to it. Mm-hmm.
kind. This is Psalm 64 and 2. It says, "Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity."
That's right.
Who you want to
Go
break it
ahead, bro.
down?
No,
Okay,
go ahead.
kind. It says, verse 3, "Who whet their tongue like a sword,
Mm-hmm.
and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words."
That's right. So they wet their tongue like a sword, man. They and you look up that word wet. The brother Yadakar like to bring this out. You know what I'm saying? That word wet means to sharpen, man. You know what I'm saying? Like a sword, man. And they did, and they use that tongue, aka that legislation, those laws. You know what I'm saying, to destroy our people, man. Go ahead, out.
Verse 4, it says, "That they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not."
That's right. They shoot at the perfect secretly. And how do they shoot at us secretly, man? Well, they pass these legislation and nobody's paying attention. You see what I'm saying? You know, they put certain things in our neighborhoods that's detrimental to us, man. Case in point, these 40s that Jake likes to drink, or used to drink, man. With those 40s, man, that's poisonous, man. You see, and it's cheap because you know, again, it's poison, man. The foods that Jake has to eat, you know, there's not, you know, a lot of grocery stores that's in the proximity of where, you know, Jake lives, man. So you have to go and eat these this unhealthy food, man, that's available to you, man. You have a Chinese spot that Jake will go to eat, buffet spot to be open for 6 months. You know what I'm saying? Jake had to go and eat that. You see, I'll go to a convenience store and get and eat or purchase food that's hella pricey, man. You see, now don't have access to vegetables and things of that nature, man. You see what I'm saying? Then they do it secretly, man. And they paint the picture as if, you know what I'm saying, everybody's free. When that's not the point. Everybody isn't free, man. That's bullshit. Go ahead, up.
Hey, if I can say this, the last part of that verse, it says, "Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not." Even in the spirit, man, that's spiritual. The cops shooting at you niggas, man, and they don't fear not because it's laws in place that if they go before a judge in a courthouse, they gonna get off.
Yeah.
And notice that, you know, these so-called unarmed Jake that's getting shot, man, it's only happening to you Israelites, man. These cases where cops are just shooting you without no regard, man.
Yep.
Because it's things set in place you know, that can easily get them off. You know, you're a threat from the beginning, man. But Esau set it up more so when he released the shackles and chains. It's embedded in your mind. It's embedded in his system in every detail. They always say that the devil's in the details, man.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. Because
Yeah, you gotta
nothing.
read between the lines. Yeah.
No, it's like it, bro. Because nothing is just nothing is just, you know what I'm saying, just happens, you know, just happen to happen, man. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you're governing people, man. You know, when you're managing something, nothing just sporadic. You know, everything that you see is put in place for a reason, man. You see what I'm saying? You have to understand that when managing, you know, like when you're a manager, there's certain things that you put in place. You, like brother said, you're attentive to detail, man. You see what I'm saying? People out there like to say, oh, these racist, you know what I'm saying? These racist incidents are just, you know, isolated. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Mike Brown, he got shot. What, the cop was incompetent. Well, okay, if you want to make that argument, understandable, but the reaction of the population, man, really shows you that it's not, you know what I'm saying, that it's not an isolated incident, because this guy got a GoFundMe, got thousands of dollars, man. Zimmerman, thousands of dollars, man. He's able to retire. You see what I'm saying? From shooting a kid. So it ain't isolated incidents. It's a group of people, which we know to be Edomites, aka you white people, man, that's agreeing, you know what I'm saying, with institutionalized racism or blatant racism, man. You see what I'm saying?
Kind. You want me to continue, brother?
Hey, the water, please.
Yeah. This is back in Psalms 64 and 4. Salakis, Psalm 64 and 5. It says, they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privately. They say, who shall see them?
That's right. They lay snares privily and say, who shall see me? Name that word snares means traps, man. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, bro.
Verse 6, it says, they search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep.
That's right.
And Esau, the scripture says he's wiser than Daniel, man. Esau search out every damn thing, because that shows too, Esau always has to substantiate certain things to come to a truthful solution in his mind. He's a man of carnality. He's not a man of faith. Even when it comes to things within the Bible, they'll have archaeologists, paleontologists looking up certain records and fossils and certain things within, you know, the history of the Bible to see if it's such. But even more so in wickedness, man, they accomplish a diligent search. That's why right now it's hard for Jake to substantiate their case against Esau being a damn racist demon, because everything is what is it called? Covert.
Right.
But you got to be spiritual. The Most High really have to have that spirit on you to really see plainly, man. You know, because Esau has rocked our people to sleep, man. Like we just read up a verse up in 5, it says they lay snares privately. So just because Jake able to enjoy certain privileges, permissions, and advantages through Esau, they think that they got something. But compared to Esau, you living like complete shit, man.
Yep.
You're not really living, man, compared to these Edomites. And I'm talking about low-level Edomites that don't even really got nothing. Yep. Compared to you, you know, that white privilege, that's real. Look that up. White privilege, and air yourself out.
That's right.
Did you want to keep going?
Well, yeah, verse 7.
Kind.
Yeah, just read verse 7, and you know what I'm saying. Actually, we read verse 8. Yeah, verse 8, and we'll start right there.
Okay, kind of 7 and 8. This is Psalm 64 and 7. It says, but the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded.
So the Most High is exposing the so-called white man. You know what I'm saying? With the truth. You see what I'm saying? He's being shot down, man. You see what I'm saying? That there's a substantial amount of information that's coming out, and it's proven that this man is the devil, man, and also that his legislation in this institution, you know what I'm saying, is you know what I'm saying, wicked for us, man, or detrimental for us. You see? Go ahead, bro.
Continue. Okay, it says,
Last one.
verse 8, it says, so shall they make their own tongue to fall upon themselves.
Yeah,
All that see them shall flee away.
that's right. So the so-called white man is exposing himself, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we went into last week. The brother Yadaka brought out a beautiful sit down of how, you know what I'm saying, you know, we're basically in the information age. You see? So now, man, hey man, there's an ample amount of information out there that let you really determine that this man, which we know the so-called white man, you know what I'm saying, we're talking about so-called white man, is the devil, man. You see? The legislation that he passes, man, you see how he deals with the other nations, things of that nature, man. He's being exposed, man, to be a complete demon. You see?
Yep. That's a beautiful point, brother. Just like the platform that we're using right now to do this live show, and that you've been on the screen that brothers can follow along. We looking up all of these different historical things and acts that you can see that he's the enemy. So basically he set up a mechanism that's gonna lead to his ruin. Because right now you can't, it's truth in plain sight on every angle against this devil. And that has been one of his main weapons to keep our nation down, is by ruling by deception. But now, what I'm saying, his own tongue, that deceitful tongue, is about to fall upon him, because he's created an avenue through the Spirit of the Most High, put that spirit on him that's going to condemn himself and lead to his whole kingdom being destroyed.
That's right, bro. That's right. Yeah, let's read a little bit more in this article. You know what I'm saying? Get to the description, and man, the point has been made. Really, we just beating Jake over the head with information, man. You know what I'm saying?
Only like two more scriptures I know I wrote down that you had called in Psalms.
Okay, kind.
Whatever you want to get, brother.
You know what? Let's get to the scripts. Let's get to these scriptures. Actually, I'm gonna read this and then we'll get to the scripts, bro. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be too long-winded. You know, the point really is being made, man.
It's a lot of info over there.
It's a lot of info that you could go into, man. And this information, the reason why we're bringing it out is because this information is really power, man. We could use this, you know what I'm saying, on the highways and byways when you got one of those, articulate conservative Edomites come out. You know what I'm saying? And want to argue against us. Well, what about this? And what about that? Well, what about this? And what about that, motherfucker? But this is a health and environment. Institutional racism impacts healthcare accessibility within non-white minority communities, creating health disparities among racial groups. For example, from 1865 to 1906, many Black veterans were unfairly denied disability pensions by the Union Army disparity pension system. Racism may also account for disproportionate rates of diseases such as AIDS among ethnic minorities. In a 1992 article, Janice Hutchinson argued that the federal government has responded slowly to the AIDS epidemic in minority communities, and that their attempts have been insensitive to ethnic diversity in preventative medicine, community health maintenance, and AIDS treatment services. In addition, the mass incarceration of Black males, along with vectors for addiction and correlations to the higher number of minority females found infected infected with the HIV virus after 2000, has been the subject of study, and finding has shown that previous analysis of the rise incorrectly attributed attributed it to male and male sex habits rather than the cause effect found in current studies. Public health studies found incarcerated men, when returned to their communities, raise the risk of infection by passing the virus on to heterosexual partners having acquired it in prison due to higher than average rates of sexual assault and rape, no access to condoms, injectable drugs, and lack of clean needles, along with tattooing and inadequate access to health care and uh, treatment after being released due to poverty and unemployment. So you got Jake that's being locked up at at an exponential rate. You know what I'm saying? Unfairly. Well, we can't even say unfairly. Jake's out there doing wickedness, man. But it's all a setup, man. And they're getting out. They're getting they are going in. You got Jake out there getting raped by other Jake, man. You know what I'm saying? Doing drugs in jail, getting out, getting with the female, and you know what I'm saying, infecting her with AIDS. She's sleeping around. You see what I'm saying? She's sleeping around, getting somebody else AIDS, man. But there's no these people don't have access to health care, man. Which is a setup. We know Jake was getting locked up in the 80s, man. You know what I'm saying, behind the crack epidemic, which we're gonna read down. You know what I'm saying? When we read down, we'll get that. You know what I'm saying? And it was unfair, man. What it's like with 5 grams of crack, you would get 5 years versus 500 grams of coke. You would get the same sentence, but look how much coke you had to have, what I'm saying, in possession versus that crack, man. And we know that most people who had coke were who? White people, man. You see, most people who are users are who? White people. Jake doesn't use crack, man. You see, it's all a setup, which we're not condoning the acts of our people because that shit's wicked as hell to be selling. You know what I'm saying? These damn drugs to you people, man. You know. But with that jobs, what are you gonna do? You see, due to outsourcing in the 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s, outsourcing it means, you know what I'm saying, all these jobs, these factory jobs, you know what I'm saying, were basically placed in different countries, you know what I'm saying, that has cheap labor. You see, that left Jake assed out, man. Case in point, Chicago. Chicago was a suburb for Negroes, man. After the great, what I'm saying, the Great Migration, you had Jake that was coming from the South, in particular Mississippi, and going to Chicago in order to work, man. You see? And you had suburbs and things of that nature out there, man. You know what I'm saying? Jake wasn't always just acting damn fool, killing one another, man. We had family structure, we had we had that. But with these laws passed, they were able to put our people you know what I'm saying, into subjection again, man. You see? But back to it. I want to uh skip down to racial minorities in the US are exposed to greater health and environmental risks than the general population. In 1982, there was a proposed polychlorinated chlorinated what's that? Biphenyl landfill in an African American community in Warren County, NC. PCB are toxic chemicals that can leach into the groundwater and contaminate the drinking water supply. And that wasn't only there too, man. You had cases like this um, in West Dallas, man. West Dallas, South Dallas. You see what I'm saying? All where Jake stay at, man. Another example of that is the Flint oil water crisis, man. You see, we had Jake, you know what I'm saying, trying to, lamenting about how that water was brown. You see, and you see in this situation, you know what I'm saying, not only in Flint, but in other Jake neighborhoods, man. You see, what causes all types of health problems, man. You know, you see here. This community resisted and said that this was an act of environmental racism. This incident is considered to be the beginning of the environmental justice movement. a movement to address the fact, the injustice that communities of color face. Researchers show that there is racial discrimination in the enforcement of environmental laws and regulations. People of color and the poor are more likely to live, work, and play in America's most polluted environments. Communities of color tend to be disproportionately exposed to lead, pesticides, and petrochemical plants. Unfortunately, race and class is a reliable indicator of how of how where industrial plants and waste facilities are located. So they put all these these waste facilities, you know what I'm saying, in our neighborhoods, man. Like case in point, you know, you would see uh, uh, these tire dumps, you know what I'm saying, in our neighborhoods. You know, one that comes to mind to me is the one that's in South Dallas. You see, the one that's in South Dallas, they have that plant, and they have another plant, you know, a recycle plant. You know what I'm saying, in South Dallas, man. And you meet a cat from South Dallas, this dude's more than likely he's crazy, aggressive, bugged out. A lot of it has to do with the environment, man. Breathing in that toxic ass air, man. You see. And then I'll get this one, last one. This in criminal conviction, although approximately 2/3 of crack cocaine users are white or Hispanic, a large percentage of people convicted of possession of crack cocaine in federal courts in 1994 were black. In 1994, 84.5% of the defendants convicted of crack cocaine possessions were black, while 10.3% were white and 5.2 were Hispanic. Possession of powder cocaine was more racially mixed, with 57% of the offenders being white, 26.7 black, and 15% Hispanic. Within the federal judicial system, a person convicted of possession with intent to distribute powder cocaine carries a 5 year sentence for quantities of 500 grams or more, while a person convicted of possession with intent to distribute crack cocaine face a 5 year sentence for quantities of 5 grams or more. You see that? So you had people out there, you know what I'm saying, that you know, they had 500 grams, which, you know, majority of people who had the pure cocaine, that's what you want. You want the pure, you know what I'm saying? You want pure cocaine, man. You know, that's what the fiends look for. They were white, and you had to have 500 grams in order for that person to get convicted of 5 years, man. Versus a person with that had 5 grams, you know what I'm saying, 5 grams of crack, you know what I'm saying, which majority of Jake, man. You see what I'm saying? When you you know what I'm saying, get pure and you turn into crack cocaine, you have to add a whole bunch of additives, man. It's a term called whipping. You know what I'm saying? But you want it as pure as possible, but it comes out as yellowish. You see what I'm saying? That person right there had only 5 grams versus 500 grams with a white person. That person had 5 grams. He would get he would be sentenced more, man. You see what I'm saying? Within the combination of several and unbalanced drug possession laws, along with the rates of conviction in terms of race, the judicial system has created a huge racial disparity. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's it
Let me
on
get
that.
I
Go
got a
ahead, bro.
scripture for you. Or if you want
Con.
to pull it up, that's Psalms 58:1.
Psalms 58.
Con.
Okay, I got it right here.
I'll just
I
read
got
it
it
for
right
you
here.
if you want to break it down, because I know that's one you
Okay.
ain't called for.
Okay, con.
This is this is Psalms 58:1. It says, "Do you indeed?" Salaki, what was that?
I was gonna say, can you just go to 2, my brother?
Yeah. This is Psalms 58:2. It says, "Yea, in heart ye work wickedness. You weigh the violence of your hands in the earth."
That's right.
Yep.
That's right, man. They weight the violence of their hands in the earth, man. You know what I'm saying? They do these things, you know, they pass these laws, you know what I'm saying, maliciously in order to really destroy Jake, man. We just read above, you know what I'm saying, in institutionalized racism that they're locking Jake up. You know what I'm saying? They're lock Jake up, you know what I'm saying, at an exponential rate and put him in a mess up environment, man. You know what I'm saying? The problem from sex, you know. In some cases, if you get caught jacking off, they'll add years to your life, man. But they won't condemn you if you know what I'm saying, rape another man. What type of madness is that, man? You see? All that is all this that the past is used, you know what I'm saying, as a tool to perform violence on you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. You see? Go ahead, bro.
And if I could just add, you know what I'm saying, they weighing in with violence institutionally right now, because even though it might not be directly violent, it's set up to your destruction. All of these different laws and legislation that they passed to keep you entangled and trapped up. They got Jake get a damn payday loan, and that ruined your whole next 3 years.
That's right, bro.
You know, just even with stuff like that too. Just even like during the time of like late 07, 2007, you had the housing crisis, the subprime lending crisis. Those because they was allowing Jake to get homes at this time. Here's the flip of the coin: Esau the devil. So now, appearingly, that Jake is now able to get homes in the suburbs, but not knowingly that they own an adjusted rate mortgage that 3-4 years from now it will go up.
Yep.
And, you know, the price of that mortgage would go up tremendously to where Jake couldn't afford to stay in their home, and now they're facing a foreclosure. So I forgot about that, but just reading that, it kind of just sparked up, you know, the whole topic we going into.
Beautiful, you know what I'm saying? It's just a beautiful example, man. You know?
I'm gonna keep going.
Con.
This is Psalms 58:3. It says, "The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies."
That's right.
It says, yeah, and that's Esau, man. You know what I'm saying?
Esau. Yep.
That just even you know, like Cain, that's the even going Esau go back to Cain really at the end of the day, when the Lord asked him after he slew his brother Abel, you know, he said, "Am I my brother's keeper?" So Esau, he's always speaking lies, speaking in semantics.
Yep.
You know, like not being direct about what we know through the spirit is blatant racism to us, but it's institutionalized because, like the brother's been making a beautiful points, you can't really just substantiate it in certain cases where you know it's there, you know, and that's how it is more so amongst the just general pop of this whole world, man. Everybody's just blinded to all of this deception. They can't see it. But now we coming into a time, this internet, man, like we read too, the Lord is going to allow his own tongue to fall upon him. You know, that information is getting out there. You got alternate sources of news that bring things out on this devil.
Right.
So those lies are getting torn down with the truth, man. And mainly the truth of these scriptures, the prophecies. It says, Psalms 58:4. It says, "Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf adder that stoppeth her ear."
That's right. That poison of a serpent, that's just talking about a deadly snake, man. You know what I'm saying? They are like a deaf adder. I want to say adder is a. Let me see real quick. I don't want to misquote. I want to say adder is like a cobra.
Like a big ass
viper.
snake. It sounds like a big reptile.
Like a viper. Yeah, like a viper. You know what I'm saying? But
Python.
I just want to check. Yep. Just want to check real quick. You know what I'm saying? I hate to misquote you, did.
Man, that's spiritual. I didn't know Python was a Hebrew word. Patana.
Yeah, Pythona. That's beautiful. Yep, a snake, a venomous snake, perhaps the cobra, adder, or viper. You know.
That's what Yahweh was calling them wicked niggas, man, in the Roman Empire. Patana, he was cursing them niggas out, man. It's just interesting to learn that.
Con. You know, and back in the day, to call somebody animal, that was a slap in the face, man. You know what I'm saying? That was, you know, that was considered, you know, fighting words, you
That's right.
know. But hey, you know, going back to the topic, you know what I'm saying, you know, that's the way of the so-called white man is pure death, man. You see what I'm saying? And look what he's passing now, the whole transgender movement. That's nothing but death, man. You know, how you gonna tell me that genetically speaking, you're a boy, but in your mind, you know what I'm saying, you're a little girl? That's madness, man. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But the so-called white man, he pushes that on your children, man. And really it's just for control because he wants to feminize, you know what I'm saying, men, demasculate men to further to really to further, you know what I'm saying, his control of the people, man. You know, and it push that wicked vibration on the left hand, man, that Baphomet spirit, man. It leads to nothing but death. You see?
And that death is mainly that death, if I can say this, is mainly aimed at you tribes, you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans.
That's right.
Phoenix, like we've been going into Planned Parenthood, poisonous food, water supply, you know, just access to the lowest things that will not allow you to sustain and thrive and grow as a people. You know, everything is to your destruction. And more so, he's trying to fulfill that enterprise by getting you niggas to accept and conform to this chip.
That's right. Beautiful, brother.
That was, is that, you want to go all the way to what, 5? Or that, I think that was it.
That last one.
This is Psalms 58:5. It says, which will not hearken to the voice of charmers, charming never so wisely.
That's right, man. The people that are speaking skillfully, speaking according to the will of Yahweh Shah, they don't listen to us, man. You see what I'm saying? The Most High is not in these people minds or ways, man. And it's apparent, man. You know, and these people, you know what I'm saying, that's ruling, which we know to be the so-called white man, Edomites, man, they're leading the whole world literally to death, man, to destruction. You see, that's why it's imperative that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua returns, man. Well, actually, Yahweh Shah returns, man, and set things are right. You see what I'm saying? Because everything is turned upside down here, man. You see? That's why it says in Isaiah, 5:20, woe to them that call evil good and good evil, man. You see? If this world keeps on going, there's not going to be any flesh left, man. Everybody's going to be destroyed, man. And really, that's the goal of the so-called white man, to destroy everybody. You see? To depopulate the earth. And he's doing a hell of a job, man. You know? Let's get this next one. This will be a last scripture, bro. We go. That Psalms 53:1.
This is Psalms 53:1. It says, the fool has said in his heart, there is no God. Corrupt are they, and have done abominable iniquity. There was none that doeth good.
That's right. And you know, who pushes that ideology? The so-called white man. Again, with legislation, man, with Darwinism, things of that nature. And if you do research on Darwinism, it's really just a roundabout way of them saying that the so-called white man is a dominant race. What you have, what's his Herbert Spencer, his cousin, that came out with the concept of social Darwinism, and you have his half cousin. I want to say his name is Francis Gilton. You know what I'm saying? They came out with the term eugenics. You see what I'm saying? So all this was set in place really in order for him to make himself the dominant race, man. To perpetuate Edomite supremacy. You see what I'm saying? And to take out the and to you know, alleviate, you know what I'm saying, the Most High. You see? Go ahead, bro.
Verse 2, it says, the Most High looked down from heaven upon the children of men to see if there were any that did understand and that did seek the Most High. Every one of them is gone back. They are altogether become filthy. There is none that doeth good, no, not one.
That hey, none of these people do good. You know what I'm saying? Now, you know what I'm saying, with him ruling, man, our people are under that wicked vibration too. You see? Our people are on that wicked vibration too, man. That they impulsive, you know what I'm saying? You know, individualistic, you know what I'm saying, mind frame, man. You know? The problems of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans really is a problem of America, but it's more overt because Jake doesn't have the money really to be civil. You know what I'm saying? You know? So that's why when Howard Shot returns, man, he has to destroy everything and everybody in it, man. Because our people are gone, are really worse than the so-called white man. You know what I'm saying? Now, alluding to what Jeremiah the 5th chapter, we overpass the deeds. Our people have overpassed the deeds of the wicked, man. You see? So nobody's seeking after the will of Yahweh by Shem Shot, man. You know? Therefore, you know what I'm saying, the Most High is going to destroy these people, man. Go ahead, Doc.
This is verse 4. It says, have the workers of iniquity no knowledge, who eat up my people as they eat bread. They have not called upon God.
That's right. Our people you know, so-called white men destroy our people, man. You know what I'm saying? Destroy our people, man. You know what I'm saying? For really for their gain, man. And don't consider, you know what I'm saying, that they're doing anything wrong, man. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 5, it says, there were they in great fear, where no fear was. For the Most High has scattered the bones of him that encampeth against thee. Thou hast put them to shame, because the Most High hath despised them.
Can you read that one more time, Mark?
Psalms 53 and 5. There were they in great fear, where no fear was. For the Most High has scattered the bones of him that encampeth against thee. Thou hast put them to shame, because the Most High hath despised them.
That's right, man. So when the Most High sends his son Yahweh Shem Shah, man, you know what I'm saying, there's gonna be destruction, you know. All these people that are living pridefully and deliciously, man, without fear, man, fear is gonna come upon them suddenly, man. You see? Then they're gonna understand that there's a higher power, man. All this you know, covert, like the brother brought out, racism or institutionalized racism, man. You know what I'm saying, which really is white supremacy, is gonna be done away with, man. You see? So, you know, I hope this was edifying, man. You know, I just wanted to just bring out as much information as possible, man, because, you know, Satan or play with your emotions and say, well, you know, everybody's equal. You know, I'm going to do things just like you. You know, I got bills just like you know. But no, we understand, man, that you know, this place isn't for us, man. That's why it says in Micah 2:10 to come out of her, my people, man. This place, you know, this place it is not for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, you know what I'm saying, to dwell in, man. We need our own kingdom, and our, you know what I'm saying? And we need, in order for us to get that, we need Yahweh Shah to return, man.
That's right.
So, hey, man, Most High willing, this was edifying, you know what I'm saying? We want to give all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem,
Bahashem, Rukah, Kadash.
Double honor to the apostles and heirs that rule well, and peace and blessings to you brothers out there that's kicking his word and sincerity and truth. Shalom.
Shalom.